The field. Every neighborhood has one. Grass, concrete, or dirt. The stage is the same. The rules, unwavering. And the goals, beautiful.
It goes in! Improbable scenes!
It's where the dream begins to achieve the ultimate victory.
The underdogs have prevailed once again!
One cup, open to all.
There is a celebration in Orlando.
Now, America's oldest soccer tournament is back.
Oh, it's incredible!
The field doesn't care if you're a pro or trying to be one. It only asks, how bad do you want it?
It's unbelievable!
The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.
We welcome you to sunny South Florida. Drive Pink Stadium in Fort Lauderdale playing host to this round of 32 fixture in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. One of the 24 remaining teams out of Major League Soccer welcomes one of the 8 teams remaining from the second division USL Championship. Joined by Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand, excited to bring you this, the first of 16 games broadcast in this round of 32. The Miami Classico last on the docket for Inter Miami, perhaps coasting to a big win, wouldn't have provided such a needed boost, a quixotic victory that Inter Miami desperately needed. They've now won 3 in a row. It was Borgelin, a game-tying goal at the end of regulation, Ryan Saylor at the end of extra time, Kamal Miller hits the winning penalty. All the while, Dev, since then, Joseph Martinez has found that scintillating form that made him a superstar.
2 goals on the weekend against his old club, Atlanta United, which sees him as the fastest man to 100 MLS goals. Did it in just 142 games. Remember, this guy is just 3 years removed from marking in 87% of his matches and a 2019 Open Cup winner. And yet, what could it be for a star in the making in Augustine Williams that has been searching for an opportunity? He found it last year with the Charleston Battery. He too marking at a high rate, 21 goals in his last 40 games. Charleston Battery have their talisman up top.
So the 25-year-old from Sierra Leone gets the call to start up front for Charleston. 6 starters from the last Open Cup game for Miami. Charleston, 3 changes from their last league game, both center backs.
Miami, 3 wins on the bounce. They had lost 6 in a row, and all of a sudden, they're plus in goal differential. They're moving it nicely, and they have Phil Neville on the up and up. Ben Pierman and the Charleston Battery, this is a team that 5 times have produced themselves into the final 8, including making it to the final in 2008. Are they this year's Sacramento Republic? Next 90 minutes and at least get them headed in the right direction.
Joseph Martinez is ready to roll from the jump. And here at Drive Pink Stadium, we're ready to kick off the round of 32 in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Exciting young talent for Charleston. This Miami team on the upswing, underway in the round of 32. Inter Miami in pink, Charleston in black and gold. Ball rings off of Fidel Barajas and Chris Allen. Dev, to your point, if there's one thing to know about Charleston, historically they fear no one, and with the new leadership that they've brought in, you see their historic finishes in the Open Cup. Lee Cohen brought in his team president last year, Ben Pierman as head coach. They fear no one now. All the while, Stefanelli is offside.
Only 1 loss in domestic play within the USL Championship this season. Ben Pierman, Lee Cohen have come in and taken the Charleston Battery and put them back amongst their friendly banter with all the great clubs in the USL Championship. This is a team that for a long period of time was held with the highest regard, not just within second division, but within the American soccer pyramid. All of a sudden, is starting to feel at home again.
Allen flips it across. Picked off by Robert Taylor. 2 starts in the league, gets the call to start for the second time in the Open Cup for Inter Miami. Allen, one of the players who made the trip with Ben Pierman after he left Memphis last year. A phenomenal campaign with 901 FC to take over Charleston. Harvey Neville. Ruiz clipped through nearly for Martinez. Miller, Martinez. Good from Ruiz. Williams holds up play for Charleston. Now, what a difference a couple of weeks makes for Inter Miami. 3 wins on the bounce, and all of a sudden, this Open Cup game can make it 4-4, leading into a pretty big fixture over the weekend, hosting New England.
Quite interesting, the fact of the rotation in the lineup as well. Not the personnel, but tactically, Inter Miami are trying to produce here. You go and get Kamal Miller, CF Montreal, and the next thing you know, he's starting at outside left back, the place that has been the mainstay for Franco Negri, though that has been a positional point they've looked at with Negri. With the way that they normally rotate in the back three, they push him high anyway. But with Saylor, McVeigh, it's a new combination on the back 4. Robert Taylor in the 10. Joseph Martinez back up into the 9. But a lot of movement within this team itself that has seen 3 wins in a row.
Good spin by Williams. Augustine Williams dispossessed it, short-lived. That's a more firm challenge to Stefanelli. Neville. Back from McVeigh. Nick Marsman gets the calling goal, just 1 start this campaign. It was in Next Pro against Chicago Fire 2. Martinez. Neville inches forward. Neville did get a cross away. Won't bother Trey Muse. The late run from Robert Taylor. Ruiz.
This is going to be a real interesting look for the Charleston Battery, a team that likes to press, would like to go up-tempo at times, but the vertical threat that they're capable of, I wonder how much of that is going to be here today and how high the line is going to be because of the opposition. They're not naive enough to think that they're going to walk into this building and boss teams around like they've been able to do so far in the USL Championship. You have enough patience to sit back, absorb some of the pressure, and then pick and choose your moments going the other direction. Sounds simplistic in nature, but when you are so accustomed to playing one way, regardless of opposition, it's hard to then switch and then turn yourself to another mentality.
Arturo Rodriguez won the free kick. Ben Pierman told us yesterday we could play our A+ game and we're still going to suffer. Polvara. Miller bustling. Ruiz. It's taken by Allen. Then wide by Rodriguez. Marcanic is still down. Service through for Barajas. And the Mexican Youth International serves back. Polvara. They'll put it out. Nick Marcanic remains down. Here's the collision between Marcanic and Miller. You and I are actually teed up to do a Marcanic twin bill tonight. Anthony Marcanic featuring for Colorado Rapids. Good feature tonight against Sacramento Republic in the late game here on the BR app. Bleacher Report football YouTube page.
I would venture to guess that not only is he going to feature, but that should be a pretty fun matchup. Him at outside left back and Jack Kerr, Sacramento Republic. Nice little track meet. Bring your spikes.
There's Phil Neville. Spoke to him about the Open Cup. He said, look, ownership wants us in Champions League. This is the quickest route to a trophy. And if you're able to get through those earlier rounds, rotate a little bit, you have a good opportunity to get really deep in the tournament really quick.
I've heard that more from any manager this year than in previous iterations of this tournament, and it certainly makes sense. But the emphasis, sort of wonder where that's starting to come from. Is it because of common sense and the fact of, okay, you go win 6 in a row? Well, easier said than done. That also depends on where you start within the tournament. I would also say that I'm sure at some point in time, it's crept into the thought process that you don't necessarily want to be one of the notches on the belt for a lower division squad that we saw in Sacramento Republic run all the way to the final before falling just short to Orlando City, garnering their first piece of silverware. It does sound like there is going to be a sub here, isn't there?
This is a position that perhaps ironically Fidel Barajas was kind of an unknown to Ben Pierman, so they brought in Marcanic to be their winger off the right side. Once they figured out what Barajas brought to the table, Marcanic slots more centrally with Enwala Buana being injured for the year. The more you look at it, the more obvious it becomes. It's Jesse Randall coming in off the bench. Marcanic's night is over. Cochran. Williams draws a free kick.
The other great thing about having someone like Nick Marcanic, especially when someone paired next to him in Arturo Rodriguez is on the field, is both very comfortable at central locations, playing in a high line, but also on the wing. You lose some of that.
Dodson pulled down.
Marcanic, a little bit more one-dimensional in certain areas, but certainly not lacking for talent at all. Already a real good addition into it. High line of Derek Dotson, speed explosion. This is one of those things we talked about where when you have to sit, you're compressed. All of a sudden, can you pick that moment? Well read by Derek Dotson to step up into the space. Beautiful first touch. Negri had to pull the professional foul with all the greenery out in front of him.
Negri was sent off in that game against Atlanta over the weekend. Made him the most obvious inclusion into the starting 11 for this game. What do you like from this angle?
The initial review, I saw AJ Cochran on the back post unmarked, though 20 seconds passes by, and you better believe that the communication is there. You do see Derek Dotson just floating. This is one just right around the penalty mark. Redirect and have some fun.
Rodriguez, header steered away. This will be a corner. Mentioned pregame both center backs, and now rather the offside flag raised. Archer and Patterson, each 6'2" or bigger at center back, not starting. You can see correctly deemed offside. Two big set piece options available off the bench, but not from the jump. McVeigh. Sailor. Right back up the gut by Marsman. There's Ben Pierman, previously head coach at lower division stalwart Detroit City on to Memphis for the past few years. Totally turned that operation around. Making his way to Charleston.
I'll get it.
Fans here in Miami only witnessing their second U.S. Open Cup game for Inter Miami here at Drive Pink Stadium. Of course, the ghosts of Lockhart past are floating around somewhere.
Talking my language. Still confuses me the direction of the field is flipped.
Allen set away by Ulloa.
Give you an idea of the sun that all the Inter Miami players defensively are staring at right now. That's the way that the one end of the field used to face. Look right into it, east to west.
A lot of numbers stationed around Marsman, who's staring straight into the sun. Polvara. Surely a goalkeeper's nightmare from there. Charleston did once upon a time beat the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, but it was at their former venue, Blackbaud Stadium. Of course, both the Strikers and Blackbaud, ancient history now. Allen. Ruiz. Neville. Stefanelli. McVeigh.
Having a little trouble positionally right now for Miami of getting everybody on the same page. They're rotating high on the right-hand side. Actually mirrors what they normally do with Franco Negri. Of course, bumping him up into the midfield. The idea is getting 6 with 2 10s as Stefanelli comes in next to Taylor. The problem is as the ball is coming to the outside, tempo, not quickly finding the decisions to the interior, that by the time you get there, passing lane has closed itself down. Good job defensively by the Charleston battery, recognizing where those pieces are coming from, capturing, moving the options.
Well, there's chalk on the ball, but it never got over the line. It's to the benefit of Inter Miami. McVeigh. It's out beyond Neville. Is it anything Charleston's brought to the table that looks a little different, or is this just Miami finding their footing with so many changes?
It's Miami trying to find their footing. The Charleston battery, smartly, are just sitting and trying to keep the game in front of them. I mentioned earlier, and I used the word, they're not naive enough, right? They'll attack the game. They're certainly not going to do it and show their hand in the opening 10 or 15 minutes. They want to see exactly what Inter Miami was going to bring to the table. That would have been the thought process in general, yet alone the fact that there are so many changes, and you look at the team sheet and go, are they really going to play this way? Because tactically, you could see different players in different positions. You know, this could have been a back line where McVeigh was at the outside back spot, paired next to Neville, and all of a sudden it's Saylor and Kamal Miller. you could have played in the 3-back system. Now, that isn't something coming off 3 wins that I would have chased if I was Phil Neville, but you do have it in your back pocket. But it'll keep Pierman guessing. And so it's just causing a little bit of frustration right now. I would say that overall, decision-making just at another level allows Inter Miami certainly be more efficient in their ways.
Oh, that's excellent. Neville in behind. Neville denied by Muse. Martinez was entirely unmarked, but the angle closed quickly.
Head up. Watch how quickly the decision is made. Stefanelli knows exactly where to go. Perfectly weighted. That ball right there. It's got to be square back across. You listen to Phil Neville talk about Harvey Neville and how his progression as a professional. He no longer feels like he's gotten this opportunity because of his dad. He knows that he has the ability to play at this level. Now it's about the regular repetitions. Can you put out the consistency of a performance each and every week? And that right there, maybe feeling like your opponent is a little bit inferior to you. You do all the hard work and the simplistic ball right across, right in front of your eyes. Easy to Martinez, it's 1-0. Instead, a lot easier on Trey Muse in goal for the Charleston Battery.
Arturo Rodriguez grasping at his face.
He's got an argument here, Arturo Rodriguez. Watch the right arm. Boom. Smacks him right across the face from Ulloa. There's no malintent in it. Just the way that the body's positioned itself. You pivot over like that, your momentum, arms up, feeling like the pressure's going to be there. Fortunately for Arturo Rodriguez, he had backed off a little bit, catches a stray.
Well, whether or not there's any intent, he'll feel broadsided by it. It'll be a drop here for Inter Miami. Rodriguez appears set to return. Arturo Rodriguez arriving after a star-crossed run with North Texas, the FC Dallas, now next pro side, then USL League One side. Young Player of the Year, won the title in 2019, 2 years in Phoenix. Rodriguez has returned. Trying to navigate through. Taylor gets the foul. Header in, back to Marsman. And it's Neville now. 20 minutes gone in the round of 32. Charleston trying to do something rarely accomplished in this competition, going on the road to defeat an MLS team. Stefanelli. Service from Martinez, followed up by Juan Palma. One start in the league. Has started now all 3 Open Cup games. Ruiz wants Rodriguez off the hook. Allen back to Cochran. This is a Charleston team that's really suffered the last few years. 6 wins in 35 games under Connor Casey last year. After relieving Mike Anhauser of his duties following a greater than 20-year stint at the club already. Whoa!
Easy.
Marsman almost suffered a catastrophic mistake in the back.
Where's your head at? Ooh. In the balls. Right to him, just loses it in the sun a little bit. Green light, red light. I mean, this is really close. Good on Nick Marsman to recognize the fact that might have been the last of his days had that gone in. Whew. No harm, no foul, boys.
And they really wanted to see him get a game here, in part because, who knows, Drake Callender could play a role over the summer in these U.S. national team endeavors at Gold Cup. Neville trying to get in behind to win. Allen back to win. Served up to Williams. Battled free. Rodriguez advantage played. Williams. Polvara. Rodriguez ahead now. Randall couldn't get there in time.
That's quicker. If you are going to find success today, it is going to have to be coming off of someone like Dante Polvara or Chris Allen, so efficient in their ways from the center spots. What's the magic going to look like in front of them? Ball in open space for Augustine Williams. That's not going to be a problem. But as quickly as Inter Miami can recover, set their defensive shape, not necessarily sure there's going to be a ton of opportunities, which leaves you to moments like this. Field, 25, 30 yards, 15 players, 18 yards and in. Very difficult to combat. Move them side to side quickly, head up.
Polvara settled here by Randall. Came on as a substitute, Randall. That banks off McVeigh. If you've watched the championship for a while, you know Allen quite well, but Polvara has been revolutionary for this team this year. He's on loan from Aberdeen through the beginning stages of summer. Allen. From Dodson. Polvara. Cochran. Win.
How long can they keep him? That's going to be the question for the Charleston Battery. Matt Kerman Award winner. It's basically soccer's version of the Heisman coming out of Georgetown. Helped push his team all the way to 2021 College Cup semifinal. It's just really just positionally, touch, play, head up the entire time. His profile is incredible. 6'4", right around 200 pounds. He's got enough speed, but if you watch, he never does too much, and yet it's always just enough. Little touches to help usher everything forward. Proper decision-making to give a team the chance.
Win in behind McVeigh, spinning. Randall struck out of play. And Polvara, incorrect touch on the concluding effort.
No one said anything about a goal scorer. Let's give our guy an opportunity here, but they spread the field quite wisely. The overlapping run down into the channel. The Charleston Battery, which sets up the late delayed run. I mentioned to you, though, how Inter Miami recovered. They did a really good job of getting back, but you have to keep your head on a swivel. Guys like Ulloa and David Ruiz didn't make those runs. 18 yards out, wide open territory for the Battery to step into.
Marsman, back through Ruiz. McVeigh. Neville. Ruiz now. Mo Miller. Well, flicked ahead for Taylor. Beyond his grasp. It's an attempt at bravery here. Negri, the back of Dodson. Turned away from Rodriguez. This is Ruiz, the homegrown. Officially signed at the end of April. Sailor, Taylor, Ulloa, Negri, bounces down to Neville. Sneaks through from Sailor. Negri for Martinez. Simple for Muse. Haven't seen much of Joseph Martinez yet.
A little surprised that he actually pulled up on this ball back across too, but he did feel like Juan Palma had got the better of him positionally. The ball that actually started from Ryan Sailor just continues itself down. Franco Negri, the balls that he's able to distribute into the box, that was just prior. He's got a heck of a left foot, man. And they've got a fun little problem now that they've been wanting to try him at a starting position higher on the field in general. Now, I mentioned about 15 minutes in that they're actually mirroring on the right-hand side what they normally do with Negri at the left back spot. They're doing it with Harvey Neville, flattening it out with Miller, Sailor, and McVeigh in possession. Normally, that is Negri on the left side, and then he makes himself higher. But with a higher starting point, you would think more opportunities in transition to help getting more balls to Martinez and Campana. It hasn't been the case so far tonight. There is a ton of room out there. Just can't find him.
Campana is available tonight off the bench for Inter Miami. Perhaps that's a pairing we see together. Muse collects with ease. That's a lollipop for him. Kick, Charleston Battery. The second division side celebrating its 30th anniversary, its 31st season this year. Charleston team that's picked up 10 points in 4 road games this year. Win! Whether that's entirely intentional or not,
it wasn't.
It's a totally different discussion.
All counts the same, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Declan Wynn, this is just head up, and hoping that when he hits this, he's got a little bit of English to curl this back into the box. Not the case. A little bit more true than he wanted to. That's also the type of ball that catches you a couple free steak dinners on the weekend.
That goes in, all of a sudden it's a real Donnybrook for Inter Miami. Still no reason to perspire. Past the half-hour mark in the round of 32. Winner will find out Thursday what's next for them, who and where. Taylor doing the damage himself comfortably for Trey Muse.
Pass the ball into him, though. Beautiful little ball on the diagonal. Again, simplest method, usually the most traveled route at this point in time. At least you would hope it to be. Both of these teams making it difficult on themselves. Too many touches, slowing the game down almost to a fault at times. Phil Neville talked about the success of Joseph Martinez on the weekend, specifically coming off the bench and how he felt like the game being open, the way that it can stretch himself more suited, and yet almost every single time they start to go in transition, they step on it, try and rotate to the other side of the field, have not been able to find him. Similar talking point for Augustine Williams. The variable's a little bit different for the Charleston Battery and what they're facing. Getting him out in the open, trying to find a way to capitalize on him as a vertical threat. Almost null and void 33 minutes into the match.
That's Martinez dropping in. Turned away from Martinez, Stefanelli, Negri, Ulloa won the 2016 Open Cup with Dallas. Stabbed along for Negri. Thompson was the free kick as opposed to the goal kick. Sack continues. Fidel Barajas, appeal for handball off Ulloa. There is none. Barajas, really exciting prospect. We saw that CONCACAF under-17s. Won the title with Mexico. Lacking a spark at present. McVeigh. Step from Rodriguez. McVeigh continues. Into the width. Negri's offside.
Not so sure that Franco Negri agrees with this one.
I'm not sure I do either.
I don't agree with it either, though. Understand the run down underneath Stefanelli affecting the play. That could easily have been the thought process by the linesman. That's what it's going to take, though, Inter Miami, at least the way that the game is set up right now. Not taking any of the bait. The Charleston Battery reserve themselves pretty deep in their defensive shape. Every now and then you'll see Arturo Rodriguez pop out a little bit, but when one of them out of the midfield starts to chase, Augustine Williams is actually dropping in, so you're going to need the advancement off the back line. Saylor, McVeigh, Miller, someone challenging.
Randall trying to get after McVeigh. Matchup they've gone after a few times. McVeigh wins the battle. Win. Skying off the head of Williams. This be a transition moment for Inter Miami. Stefanelli will settle.
this ball.
They like this look again. Into Taylor. Trying to spin it through for Martinez. Taylor taps to keep it alive. And finally, numbers even here. 3 versus 3. Attack is on. Randall! Rebound off of Marsman. Pops up the claim. That felt like a transition moment in slow motion. Barajas coming off the right-hand side never really shut it in, did he?
That's a young player in Fidel Barajas who just didn't attack it and felt like, okay, well, I've got these veterans in front of me, at least compared to what he's normally dealing with. Attack that, right? You got to go one-on-one in that situation, not lack for any confidence, and just recognize the fact that who cares who's on the other side of the ball. If you want to go and win a game like this, you have to remain positive in nature. Don't slow your actions down. Fear for nothing. Instead, Barajas gets caught in a little bit of gray area out on that right-hand flank and removes a good option. Charleston battery moving forward. 3v3 with 30 yards to go. You can't pull the trigger with 25 yards out.
Net by Wynn. Kept away from Ulloa. Rodriguez into the pocket, laid off by Polvara. Ulloa got a piece. Polvara kept by the battery. Well handled by Miller, Saylor, and Marsman. Crowd here willing Inter Miami forward. Final 10 minutes of the opening half. Miller, all-star last year, starter at the World Cup for Canada. Critical mid-season acquisition for Inter Miami. Still in that honeymoon phase, Phil Neville told us. Just enjoying his football. Doesn't want to take a day off right now.
Well past it. You and I are at the, are we at the diamond phase? Was that 10 years?
That early, huh?
No. Eventually, the gifts we gave each other last year we'll be able to partake in.
Sorry, Deb, you get frankincense and myrrh.
That's right.
Inter Miami sit 10th in Major League Soccer's Eastern Conference. Charleston are first in the USL Championships Eastern Conference. Charleston just 1 loss on the campaign. Inter Miami's 6-game losing skid, seemingly a distant memory now. 3 wins on the bounce and on home ground. Win for Muse. By Saylor, who had the 118th minute game-tying goal against Miami FC. Perhaps we just need to wait a little bit longer for the fireworks. Ulloa tossing Rodriguez aside. If you're Inter Miami, so this turned over. Martinez takes over, kept it away from Polvara, sent out to Negri, cutback ball wide from Taylor. Finally, a taste of adrenaline for Inter Miami.
The one thing that people seem to forget in this day and age about Joseph Martinez is his combination abilities as he drops down in. Great job by Taylor, reaffirming himself with a higher line because you had lost that option as Martinez came down in, but he finds the flanking run. All of a sudden, the quick ball back across. It's just going to be about speed and decision making for Inter Miami from the second half. They've almost fully moved themselves into a pretty aggressive three-back system. Pivoting is one thing, just out and out saying we're going to play with Saylor, Paul Miller, Chris McVeigh to allow Franco Negri and Harvey Neville to get involved in the front going forward. Certainly haven't produced a lot out of it.
That is the general versatility that this 11 gave you.
Yeah.
Let's see what Charleston has in mind. Mentioned Polvara earlier, acquired on loan March the 8th. Twice the Big East midfielder of the year. He had 16 goals in college, but unlike a lot of Herman Trophy winners that bagged 16 in their trophy winning campaign. Polvara, that's denied. Polvara set to go back in June to Aberdeen, but you know, Charleston would love to keep him around. Miami charge forward. Negri. Miller. Bujoa. Stefanelli. Miller once more. Negri darting off the left channel. Continues to sit in. Miller able to probe through for Stefanelli. Joa. Extended spell, a pendulum back and forth. And a free kick. To be fair, a pendulum is also what a magician uses to put you to sleep.
We're there.
3 added minutes at the end of the first half.
Although I'm sure the Charleston Battery aren't upset about the fact that it's 0-0. At this point, approaching the end of 45 minutes. Certainly a little anticlimactic in terms of the personnel on the field and what is capable of either one of these teams. Certainly, the MLS squad in Inter Miami matched up against the lower division team in the Charleston Battery.
Good. Martinez, that was just his 16th touch of the game. Diagonal. Negri pursues Barajas. Polvara. Spun outside. Dodson. Threw his arms aside on the tug from Negri. To be fair, that's Barajas' 12th touch, only 20 for Williams. Into the area, Rodriguez turned away. That's brilliant. Allen deflected. Allen dives in. Kava, Moski, Borgelin, options that could really change the game for Inter Miami in that second half. 0-0 when you have that available out of the locker room. Not such a bad place to be. Oh, wow, one of the best weapons Charleston had on its bench. Jesse Randall had to come in due to Nick Marcanic's ugly injury 10 minutes into the match.
The personnel that they have available to them are guys that you would normally have to see a match out, whether it be in the starting 11 or coming off of the bench. Certainly your two center backs, Leland Archer, Jay Patterson, guys like Robbie Crawford, who have their wits about them regardless of location on the field.
McVeigh, it does sneak through. Joa, not to be. That's the 3 minutes. That's halftime.
I have no problem with the construct for Inter Miami. This is going to come down to a cadence factor for them. Decision making faster. Do you want this or not? Do you want to become another statistic for a team in a lower division that has poached you on the road? Because the Charleston Battery are thinking just that. After 45 minutes, they're right where they want to be. 2 chances going the other direction. Good closure defensively, but openings for sure. Deductive reasoning does not always have to be a quadratic equation if you're Ben Pierman and co. Sometimes just put 1 and 1 together. That can lead you to greatness and glory. Can that be for either one of these teams in the second 45?
MLS advances on home ground in the Open Cup against lower divisions 85% of the time historically. Inter Miami still in position to advance. Scoreless at the break. Charleston has turned this into a bit of a snooze. Marsman spared his blushes. It's halftime here in Fort Lauderdale at Dry Pink Stadium. Enjoy the sprinklers watering the field.
Can it take care of your best friend too? Or hold your hand for 9 months? Can it be there for you at 3 a.m.? Or inspire you to go the extra mile? We think so, which is why every day we ask ourselves, what else can health insurance do? Come find out.
If you're interested in supporting the IMCF Foundation and win some money at the same time, purchase your 50/50 raffle ticket right now. Who wants to win some money? Make some noise. Come on now. I'm going to say that again. Who wants to win some money? Take a look at the video board. Visit imcf.5050raffle.org. That's the number 5050. imcf.5050raffle.org to purchase your raffle ticket. A chance to win 50% of the total pot at the end of the month. The pot right now stands at $2,165. That means over $1,052 can be yours with a donation purchase. imcf.5050raffle.org. Hey, IMCF fans, Hay Club is proud to be your favorite MLS team's official whiskey. Be sure to grab a Hay Club Sunshine cocktail while cheering on Inter Miami for tonight's match. Cheers, and always remember to please drink responsibly. Celebrate your passion for victory by entering to win the ultimate tailgate party prize pack from Publix, the official supermarket of Inter Miami CF. Prizes include tickets to a match for you tailgate party experience before the match, and more. To enter, text Inter Miami CF to 782-549. Visit Publix.com/Inter Miami to learn more. No purchase necessary. Restrictions apply. See full rules at ls.publix.io/54. Void where prohibited. Good luck from Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Want to ride in style around South Florida? Purchase the new IMCF license plate right now. Scan the QR code to learn more. Purchases go towards a donation to the Inter Miami CF Foundation.
Here's a look at the round of 32 scoreboard. Turns out it's the Voyagers Cup that's providing all the goals right now. It's 2-1 Montreal over Toronto FC, Dev, but right now that's a lot of goose eggs, but we'll get some goals eventually.
And there's nothing open about this cup right now. plenty of offense, but no one really wants to step up rotation for every single team, and yet a couple of new head coaches. Troy Lesane, formerly of the USL Championship, New Mexico United. They will do battle against Austin. He will be hosting DC United tonight. And the OG, Frankie Klopas.
Love to see it.
Set to be matched up against St. Louis City SC.
Oh, my former broadcast partner, Frank.
There you go.
Love the man. Southern Harm guarantees that there will be a second division team in the round of 16. That's Birmingham Legion and Memphis 901. I know you're excited about Cincinnati and NYCFC.
I am. I'll get an opportunity to call it, too. These are two teams that, you know, right now, New York City looking for a bit more of an identity, some grit about them. That's all that Pat Noonan has preached for FC Cincinnati this year. They're looking in the other direction. They're ready for Sergio Santos and Brandon Vasquez to start tickling the nylon up top, because you're looking at one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference, whose attacking unit has been a little bit more anemic than they would have liked, and yet still a major talking point within MLS. Seattle Sounders look to recover on the road against LA Galaxy.
See the full schedule, ussoccer.com/US-open-cup, including all broadcast info. Scoreless at the break.
All right, fans, who's ready for the second half? Let's go make some noise. Get those cell phone lights out. Come on.
Teams might be bum puzzled here at halftime. It is scoreless in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Round of 32. It's Inter Miami and the Charleston Battery. Welcome back to Drive Pink Stadium, everybody. Joined by Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand. We'd be remiss not to mention that there is a South Carolina native involved in the Inter Miami system. We'll get to that in a moment. A quick look at highlights. There isn't much to speak of. This is a low light. Marcanic goes down injured on a challenge from Kamal Miller. This is maybe the best chance of the half from Neville.
He's got to square that back across because Joseph Martinez has acreage in front of him right at the top of the six. The change, though, for the Charleston Battery, losing Marcanic. Anytime that you progress yourself deep into a match against an MLS opponent, you want to be able to make the changes. Marsman might have been one of those, and he let this roll into the back of the net, but certainly recovers. And you lose that option now. This team has had opportunities, the Charleston Battery, in the first half. But when you go 3v3 right now, attack into the space over the shoulder, the defender is leading you, or lay that off on the right-hand side. They gave you the pathway to glory, and instead, you leave yourself with an opportunity far from distance. Inter Miami not able to produce a lot, even though they continued to advance their troops. Didn't have anything to show for it after 45 minutes.
Here's a look at your halftime match stats. 4 shots apiece and expected goals, 0.59 for Inter Miami, just 0.17 for the Charleston Battery. Inter Miami does have a player with South Carolina roots who debuted once upon a time in this very tournament. He was an academy player back then for the Charleston Battery. One Robbie Robinson, went on to Clemson, played 3 years there. Won the Herman Trophy, just like Dante Polvara, the current Battery player, did. First overall pick by Miami. There he is with the trophy, the scarf. Not available tonight, dealing with a calf injury. Nevertheless, Charleston is starting to set some real roots, including Fidel Barajas that they brought in late last year, the Mexican Youth International. There's a belief from Lee Cohen and Rob Salvatore and of course head coach Ben Pierman, they can make this a destination within the championship for young players.
I would say that most teams around the country are starting to recognize that talent isn't just within the academies that are right in front of them, and that doesn't mean MLS, USL Championship, League One. There's talent all over the place. Can you cultivate it? And so specifically relating to the USL Championship ranks in the Charleston Battery, we've heard some noise from Louisville City. You're probably going to see some more in the near future. Orange County out west. This player actually started with Sacramento Republic, transitioned to San Jose. Feels like on the East Coast, underneath the tutelage of both Ben Pierman and Lee Cohen, has a real opportunity to push himself into the spotlight. Opportunity there, the tug of war at the international level, also between USA and Mexico.
Rodriguez serving a good ball, and Dodson launches it over the crossbar.
Dead balls, why not? Of course. Set piece opportunity when you're not producing as much as you would like. Again, Charleston Battery, if you're not familiar with their work this year within the USL Championship, 9 matches played, 5 wins and 3 draws to their name. Math checks out, puts them at first in the Eastern Conference. Goal differential of +6, which is second overall within the league, trailing only the aforementioned Sacramento Republic. This team has turned a corner. All of a sudden, 5 wins, only 1 loss through 11 in all competitions. You have to go back to 2020 in a COVID year that saw this team only play 16 regular season games, where you saw similar success. That team had 1 loss in 11. They were 8-1-2 and lost the conference semifinals to the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
They made the playoffs for a 13th straight year then. They missed the last 2. It's denied at the end line, picked up by Wynn. By the way, Charleston is starting to get it right. Ruiz and Promoski proving that Miami is getting it right too. The academy level. Seeing that translate into the first team. That's Miller successfully winning it back. Ulloa. Negri. Only player on a yellow card entering the second half. That's a big switch for Miller. Neville. Swung the cross through, on goal. Ricochets off the head of a Charleston player and in.
You've got to feel for him here, literally, with the brunt of this ball that comes right off the dome of Juan Palma. Good switch of play. Notice Neville, this time one-on-one, recognizes the fact that he does have the trailing runs. Joseph Martinez, timing isn't exactly there. Would have liked Neville to see his head up and recognize the fact that although the run was there, it was 3v1 in coverage. Probably not necessarily the best decision, but sometimes all you have to do is put the ball into a danger area and let magic happen, and it strikes within 5 minutes for Inter Miami at the start of the second half.
Well, Well, it's insult to injury for Juan Palma. If you're Joseph Martinez, you put yourself in the right place at the right time. If not for the footsteps, Dodson likely lets that fly by. Well, surely that lights the fuse. Palma is up and navigating along the end line. So Inter Miami have their goal, and the round of 16 is in sight. Their second edition of the tournament, seeking the round of 16 for a second time. And a quick corner the other way for Charleston. Palma returns.
To set the tone here, coming off that series of unfortunate events on the other side of the field. You would obviously love to go get an equalizer, but just stay positive here. Head up, try and punch back a little bit. Some quick trickery. You pull something off.
Short corner. That's simple from Marsman. How much does this change Charleston's game plan? You enter the second half on level terms, all of a sudden you've conceded within 5 minutes.
It doesn't change it overall. The problem is now you need two, right? Now you need two in order to go get a result. And yet the one might just be enough. Again, those opportunities were there in the first half. What you have to be careful of is the level of confidence that's going to start to ooze from Inter Miami. They don't care the nature in which they were able to grab the go-ahead goal, because now they have their lead, they have possession. It's a cat and mouse type deal. You have now become the toy and you have to chase. You can no longer hunt if you're the Charleston Battery.
Ruiz. Neville on the trot. Play by Randall. Out there for Miller. Applause for Martinez for the idea. It's worth noting, Charleston, it's been close but no cigar in recent editions of the tournament. Atlanta at extra time in 2019, one goal lost to Atlanta in 2017. Penalties against Orlando in 2015, loss in extra time to Real Salt Lake a decade ago. The last time they beat an MLS side was San Jose in 2013. Of course, it seems like it's always Greenville Triumph now that draws the short straw, or Oakland Roots having to go from one coast to the other in a geographic imperfection in the bracket in recent years.
Same region.
Yeah. It's funny, they name the regions sometimes, and I believe they just went with numbered regions this year, right?
Well, when it's the Southeast region and the Oakland Roots are flying cross country, right. Math doesn't exactly add up.
Good for Polvara. That's a little slow to respond. We'll sneak in behind Neville. Goes back in behind Randall, the overlap. It's a corner for Charleston. And if you're the Battery, maybe you can't bend it like Beckham in this game, but a little brute force on a set piece would count all the same.
Again, style points don't really matter when you get into cup competitions. Yes, you're trying to build off of what goes on in league play, and you know, those philosophies help drive you to success. But at the same point in time, you're just looking up at the scoreboard, right? No one looks back and goes, well, they won in this fashion. Well, they only took down that MLS team because they did this.
Polvara. It's going to sit up for Allen.
What you really care about as to whether or not you have an actual opportunity to chase down history. So that Chris Allen would have liked that one back, because he's going to have to chase that all the way to the rideshare lot.
lax razzle-dazzle. Troy Lesane and New York Red Bulls have a 1-0 lead over DC United. How about the schedule Troy got to start at that job against DC, and then is it the Hudson River Derby that follows?
Sounds about right.
Chicago has gained the lead over a St. Louis team that looked impenetrable against Union Omaha. Frankie Klopas and Troy Lesane both on the right side of the ledger to start. Here's a change for Miami. Player came into the 89th minute, trailing by a goal, and pulled Miami level at a real breaking point in their season. Schneider Borgelin places Joseph Martinez. Kromowski entering as well, putting in a ton of work in that 2-1 win over Atlanta. And Martinez frustrated as he takes leave. Stefanelli coming off as well.
This will give him an opportunity to jump into that 10 role. Lacked a little bit of a presence in the overall playmaking position. Inter Miami, imagine, which is Robert Taylor out onto the flank. Turnover.
Carried forward. Williams was available. It's off the mark from Randall. He knows.
But it's difficult too because Augie Williams is so high that he's actually in an offside position. If you play the ball forward, because he's in front of you, he would be offside. But to immediately turn back and revert his run, well, then you close down the window for that ball to come square back across. So he basically just has to hold serve at the top of the 6, hope that Randall can get high enough, quick enough, and then bring it back across, but they can't connect.
A couple of nervy moments tonight from Arsman. Just one start on the year, and it was in MLS Next Pro. Allen. Cochran. Win. Allen got caught flat-footed. Picked up by Borgelin. Borgelin over the back of Polvara. Allen turned away by Kromowski. Williams. Negri. That's a foul from Palma. Kromowski got in there, perhaps they play advantage. Not to be.
Really good refereeing, though. Wondering as to whether or not Schneider Borgelin was going to be able to use that physical frame of his. Kromowski was just underneath. Quick switch with Harvey Neville out on that right-hand side, fully available.
Whisk through for Williams. Neville said maybe the best center forward below MLS right now. 5 goals on the year. Silent tonight. Neville. Ruiz. Joa. Miller. Snared by Charleston's Muse.
Need a conversation on the sideline right now because with the advancement on the right of Harvey Neville, all of a sudden the 2 6s bearing the brunt of the workload in the middle. You've got a 7-man front though, and 5 specifically for Inter Miami. Borgelin at the top of it. Taylor, Kromoski just underneath, and then Negri and Harvey Neville. The back line of the Charleston battery, they're having real problems right now finding out where all of these runs are coming from and passing them back and forth. The half spaces in between. You got to lock this down in the immediate future, or I can promise you, Inter Miami will pick off another one.
Taylor. Taylor now the full finish international. I know you're a big fan for the haberdashery of it. Fan of the collar on the kid in Miami?
Big fan of the collar.
I knew you would.
Yep.
Pittsburgh Riverhounds, New England Revolution, an ongoing cup set alert. Danny Griffin right before halftime, just reacquired by the Hounds last week. Game at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. Borgelin cleaned off by Palma. Pittsburgh took FC Cincinnati to the wire last year, too. By Miller, this is Barajas. Good breakthrough, instead Kromoski. Neville. Allen at his best. He's the battery's metronome. Alongside Polvara, a mix they like in that midfield. That's an extended high arm into the face of Randall, and a free kick to the Charleston battery. McVay is shown a yellow card for that.
It's that high arm. Again, a similar occurrence. So Toro Rodriguez, albeit one ending up in the referee's little black book. Most dangerous this team has been is quickly going the other direction, spread it thin. They're in real trouble right now. Watch the center.
Kromoski making the run. Borgelin couldn't thread the needle. Well, that was nearly a set piece gone horribly wrong for Charleston. Battery get that one big chance. claimed and down to Ruiz. He's been called into the Honduran under-20s, the U.S. under-19s. Has grown into this game.
Slowly, you listen to the comments from Phil. Oh, what a jump there by the Battery.
And they've won a free kick for it.
Card has to be.
Third card of the match, and it's Ruiz who pays the price. Negri, McVeigh, and Ruiz on cards now.
You would say that it's a dangerous ball by Kamal Miller, but if the first touch is correct by Ruiz, he's fine. He's got to go negative there, back towards the back line, and try and build. Instead, he opens up his hips. That's a young pro mistake. He's trying to give himself the opportunity to advance, and those little moments are going to eat you alive, especially within MLS opposition. When you match up against the Charleston Battery, they're right there too. It's the end of the night for Dante Polvara. Robbie Crawford, who we spoke about in the first half, will step in the hopes that some of the glory in the days of yore under Mike Anhauser just around the corner.
Rajas couldn't sneak through, player down for the Battery. Kromoski battling. Crawford won it away. Crawford on into his dangerous right. And the attention turns.
Friendly reminder, by the way, might be a bit odd when you see someone as efficient as Dante Polvara for the Charleston Battery being subbed off. This team has a pretty big game on the weekend against San Antonio FC, and the prioritization of league play certainly at the forefront of their mind coming into this year. As the results have pushed themselves along, so have the injuries. So the roster depth a concern for the Charleston Battery that, of course, would like to get a result tonight, but they do have to think about the balance overall, both cup and domestic competitions.
Dodson chested back to Marsman. To be fair, Emilio Icaza and then Walla were considered the two big-ticket free agent acquisitions over the offseason. Walla, a knee injury, a broken leg. Should see at least another month sidelined for Icaza. And then your run-of-the-mill injuries along the way as well. They've just welcomed Andrew Booth back onto their bench tonight.
Imagine what a player like Tristan Traeger would do for you to be able to stretch this game.
17 minutes against Vegas, subbed on and had to come off.
Quick balls in behind the acquisitions from Atlanta United organization, via primarily representing the 2 squad. That's a good touch right there.
Neville trying to get around Cochran. Ruiz. Borgelin off kilter.
Online.
Off the mark for Kromoski. Sent into Allen. Ruiz charging by his side on the yellow card now. Changes coming for Inter Miami. And it's Dixon Arroyo who will replace the aforementioned Ruiz. And DeAndre Yedlin for Harvey Neville. Yedlin experienced the full range of Open Cup emotions in that Miami game. Well, Miami Classico.
There you go. Now you're making sense. Talking my language.
Seattle Sounder team. Allen. Minutes to play. It is an own goal that separates the teams off the face of Juan Palma. Less than 5 minutes into the second half. This is going to fall kindly. Dodson. Last hit by Miller. Found his place at outside back in Charleston. He's playing much higher up the field in previous stops. Williams kept him alive. Hit the post. Follow-up is well off the mark by Crawford. That's a half chance if I've ever seen one, but Augie Williams almost took full advantage.
Watch the balancing technique against Ryan Saylor. That touch, brilliant by Augie Williams. And then he's trying to bring this back across, but the way that it sits for him, he's just going to let it fly. Doesn't catch it clean, but gets it down underneath. Holds Marsman in his tracks. And then on the deflection, Robbie Crawford, the OG for the Charleston Battery, almost gets them to even. That's a quick sigh of relief on the sideline for Phil Neville and co.
Not a guy you want to give even a sniff of a chance. How about a yellow card to Nick Marsman? That's a seemingly fast, time-wasting yellow from Jonathan Belinsky. Marsman sends it away. Officially listed entering the week. Questionable with a foot injury. Force does get the call. That's a heavy leading touch. That's the first card to a Charleston player. It's to Dodson.
He knew it the second it left his foot. Eric Dodson, not normally having to worry about this space being closed down so rapidly. But again, different level matched up against tonight with Franco Negri, so accustomed to winning those one-on-one battles. Everything left in the tank for either one of these teams. That has certainly been a little bit of a snoozer between the two, but changes and maybe a little bit of belief for the Charleston Battery after Augustine Williams rang the bell.
Ramoski slid that through nicely. Forward from Taylor. To Arroyo. Ramoski. Chipped beyond Yedlin. Miller, beyond Borgelin. You know, it's kind of funny, Devin. You and I were chatting a bit with Phil Neville about the idea of a blowout win or a win where you are able to slip by in regulation time against Miami FC. Probably wouldn't have carried the same adrenaline that a penalty shootout did. The fact that it brought the team together the way it did. Through for Kraboski. This could be the dagger for Miami. Borgelin. Whoa!
Not necessarily sure. The bigger question is him bringing this up over the top. There looked to be a tremendous amount of contact just inside the box. Either way, Schneider Borgelin, he's got a sitter. Referee doesn't blow the whistle. Close your eyes and fall on it. It's 2-0. Instead, the belief's still alive.
Head to Randall. He's lost it. Throws it the final quarter hour. Borgelin scoring that 89th minute equalizer 2 weeks ago. Leap of faith. Margate, Florida, to jump into the Union Academy for a few years. 2 years in the residency, and then returned to South Florida. Jump into Inter Miami too. Signed his homegrown deal in February. Taylor for Borgelin from Yedlin. Borgelin able to maintain somehow. Intercepts a corner for a slaloming run. Put this away, or does it continue to hang in the balance? Corner up. Initial header from Palma. Cycle through Arroyo. Yedlin. Yedlin. Cross field for Negri. Miller. Acquisition at the right time, wasn't it? Miller. Taking on a little further instruction. Miami doing a very good job assaulting this way.
Yeah, it's right now it's just watch, rinse, repeat, right? Ball back and forth. There's no need for purposeful possession, if you will, because they've got the lead, albeit margins certainly smaller. Still Neville would like. Comfortable on it. Haven't really been mistake prone for the most part. Really outside of the giveaway by David Ruiz.
Taylor pulls it back from Mosky. Crawford in the nick of time.
The bigger question right now is going to be moments like this where if you commit numbers forward, do you have the reserves in the tank to then track back? Because that's all the Charleston battery are asking for. Barajas still has the engine. So does Randall. Augie Williams can challenge you up over the top. Robbie Crawford, fresh legs. These guys can help you chase the game. And they certainly have the motivation to do so. Ben Pierman gets his personnel to commit more frequently to their vision in the USL Championship than any other managers have been able to do so.
Taylor. Another incursion for Inter Miami. It's Yedlin. Sizing up win. Yedlin taken out of the air and denied from Taylor. Shifty from Arroyo. Andre Yedlin. Once again from Mosky. Turns, fires off of Allen. Roll back away from the run of Arturo Rodriguez.
How's the touch from Benjamin Kremoski? I mean, son, dear Lord. I mean, this thing is pinged by DeAndre Yedlin, and he just plucks it out of thin air. Little pirouette. You're watching a young man mature right in front of your eyes. This is a team that just a couple of weeks ago searching for vision of positivity of what be in the future.
Offside for Borgelin.
Lose Gregory a couple of weeks back. John Mota within the midfield. Bryce Duke and Lassiter, a part of the Kamal Miller trade. All of a sudden you're looking around going a lot of new faces, but with that comes opportunity. I would say that David Ruiz and Benjamin Kremoski have certainly taken full advantage of that.
Change of foot. Andrew Booth returns after a layoff due to injury. That's A.J. Patterson on for Wynn, typically the captain for the team. And they're able to bring on their greatest bench goal-scoring threat tonight, Aiden Apodaca. A good number of Charleston fans making the trip down. It was merely a bus trip for the Battery. Andrew Booth grew up here in South Florida, went to FIU, and then on to Greenville under John Harkes for a couple of seasons. Chipped in for Yedlin. Kremoski forced off by Patterson. Borgelin. It's a vital intervention. It's Booth. Lamar prepares to enter for Inter Miami. Expected goals in this game are almost identical. Williams astray. Kremoski. Patterson. From Patterson to recover. The Grenada international, his 5th year with the club, sports the captain's armband. Apodaca. Apodaca. Barajas. Can he make the impact necessary? Dotson crossing toward Williams, met by Yedlin. And wayward by Patterson. Well, here's an interesting move here for Inter Miami. It's Jake LaCava coming in. Unused so far in MLS League play. Replaces Robert Taylor. He was acquired by the Tampa Bay Rowdies from New York Red Bulls on loan by the former GM of the Rowdies, Lee Cohen, who's now the club president in Charleston. He knows LaCava as well as anybody. You do hope he finds his way here. 22-year-old from Connecticut.
He's one of those project players that they feel like has a pretty high ceiling. 12 goals and 6 assists, 37 appearances, both regular and postseason. Along with the Tampa Bay Rowdies last year, certainly turned some heads. I would say that the 2021 season that saw 10 marks and 31 weren't too shabby either. And on that front line, if you're going to play with 5 in the midfield, he can play in a center spot, feeling comfortable. And that drop-down 10, he can play as one of the 2 strikers up top. You can use him as an advanced midfielder, sort of that 4-2-3-1 type look, and a 4-3-3. So Jake LaCava is certainly going to give himself the chance with all the tactical options that Phil Neville is going to have. Now he's just got to go out and take advantage of it. This is a team that, even with the sanctions that are to come to completion at the end of the 2023 season, have certainly done a really good job of building this roster. Hats off to Chris Henderson, Phil Neville, and everybody else, because it's a little bleak for some time. It feels like in a lot of areas it's on the up and up.
LaCava was a clever piece of business. St. Louis selected him in the expansion draft. They got flipped to Miami for $150,000 in allocation money. The general variety.
That's good. That's good. Play it strong.
Sand through the hourglass for Charleston. The own goal, shy of the 50th minute, still the difference. Borgelin driving the slide from Patterson. And Muse makes this a throw, not a corner. Borgelin got whacked by Patterson.
And this is the referee on his viewpoint. Feels like the ball is there. This is a recovery. That's an aggressive touch. It's a good tackle, though. Well done by A.J. Patterson as they moved into the 3. Gonna come from the far side of the field. You leave your feet. Catches him almost at a lateral angle. Certainly not from a restricted position. Ball then player.
Negri. One thing you know for sure, hectic schedules around MLS. Most every coach well aware they may well be playing midweek 3-4 weeks in a row in some cases. As it stands for Miami, an extra 30 minutes before they host New England, go to Nashville, and host Orlando before a round of 16 fixture. The final week of May seems unpalatable at the moment. 100 seconds remaining before stoppage time. Meanwhile, outside the city of Charlotte, Charlotte FC lead Orlando in the final 10 minutes. Pittsburgh still ahead on New England. The Red Bulls approaching the hour mark ahead of DC. Minnesota, Philadelphia, they've just kicked off, and Chicago at halftime ahead of St. Louis. First day of 2 in the round of 32. Booth, Crawford, Patterson.
Numbers.
First header away by Miller. Settles for Booth. Appeal for a handball. Referee says no. That's Palma. That's a free kick for Inter Miami, garnering precious time and field position.
I would say that even if it does come off the arm, it's certainly outside of the box. The question is, was the arm away on the deflection, or was it already next to the torso? That angle's really difficult to tell. The connection with Dixon Arroyo.
Inter Miami look for their exclamation point. Still they wait. Booth pings it forward. 4 added minutes. It felt like this game has moved a little swifter than that. Lift up for Williams by Crawford. Promoski spun around by Booth. Let's take one more look at that potential handball.
It's tight. Again, it is just outside the top of the 18. The problem is I don't see a change in spin on the ball, and that even if it is connecting, it hits the knee first, the arm is coming back towards the torso. Still have a hard time believing the referee's going to blow the whistle.
Negri. Going from McVeigh on to Arroyo. Seeking Yedlin. 2.5 minutes to play. It's been a decade since Open Cup magic overtook the Charleston Battery. They may have to wait at least another year. Negri drops that into LaCava. In attack mode, Jake LaCava. Palma stepped in, it's still alive, Arroyo! How Miami hasn't ended this yet. Tattoos the post.
Jake LaCava one-on-one. Doesn't lack for confidence, does he? It's certainly a foul. And to be fair for Palma, probably better off if this ball sprays out and they get an opportunity out of it, because he's already sitting on a yellow card.
Crawford brought down to LaCava. Inter Miami in search of a second. Seconds ticking away. Back from Ulloa. Round of 16 beckons. Thursday afternoon, the Open Cup draw. BR app and BR Football YouTube page will have coverage of it. Who, what, when, where, and why. What's to come at the end of the month. Ball curled in behind. Booth off of Barajas. Promoski. Touch worth its weight in gold. Borgelin taken back by Palma. It's now or never for the Charleston Battery here in Fort Lauderdale. Booth. Head swiveling. Rodriguez's target. Headers away. And that's it. Miami on to the round of 16 for a second year running. It's the own goal in the 49th minute that pushed Inter Miami into the final 16 of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.
No magic tonight for the Charleston Battery. Big Brother and Inter Miami, they came out. They certainly were the better team, albeit not necessarily something you're going to gloat about when going back to video review. Phil Neville will continue on with his unbeaten run. All that matters for them is the number 4. They have now managed 4 games unbeaten in all competitions after dropping 6. They were looking for momentum. They've got it. And Ben Pierman and his team will look to recover on the weekend in the USL Championship, but their cup run is over, at least for this year.
Our cup run continues with Sacramento and Colorado Rapids. Maybe there's a cup set to be had out on the West Coast. Meanwhile here, Inter Miami stamps out Charleston's Open Cup dreams. It's off the head of Palma in the 49th minute that Inter Miami finds salvation in the round of 32. It is 4 unbeaten. It's full steam ahead for Inter Miami. For Devin Kerr, our entire team, Mike Watts, saying thanks for watching, and so long for now as Inter Miami advance to the Final 16.